The Rashi quotes the Gemara here. Rashi says, Achot nachshon, mikan lamdu. From here the rabbis learned, hanosei isha, one who marries a woman, tzarich livdok be'acheha, must check her brother or her brothers. In other words, we've heard the idea of yichus, right, to marry into a good family, but specifically there seems to be some idea of a value of checking the bride's brother or brothers to see if she's really fit. What is that really based on? So here's the original Gemara all the way on the right here that Rashi's quoting. Again, the same idea. Amar Rava. Rava says, "Hanose isha tzarich shevdok be'acheha." If you marry a woman, you should check out her brother. Shene'emar, and he quotes our pasuk, "Vayikach Aaron et Elisheva bat Aminadav achot nachshon." Right, mentions her brother Nachshon. This, of course, is the famous Nachshon ben Aminadav, who later becomes the Nasi, the prince of the tribe of Yehuda, who is the first one to enter the Yam Suf before the sea splits. Right, very famous person. So this is a sign that you should check into the brother before you marry the woman. Once you tell me she's the daughter of Aminadav, don't I already know that she's Nachshon's sister? Why did that extra little detail need to be mentioned? It's not necessary, it's superfluous. Matamud Lamar, what do you learn from this? Achot Nachshon, from the word Achot Nachshon, you learn Mikan Shahanosei Isha Tzarich Shivdok Be'acha. Once again, that if you marry a woman, you should first check her brother, but it still doesn't really explain why. I mean, the simple meaning, I suppose, is that, you know, if her brother's a certain way, then she probably is similar because she was raised in the same household. Or maybe if her brother's a certain way, then maybe that's the type of man she's looking for, a good man, whatever. But the Gemara here that Rashi doesn't quote at the very end gives one little detail. At the end, Tana rov banim domin la'achei ha'am. The Gemara concludes with that one line that Rashi doesn't quote. The reason is, as the sages taught, most sons resemble the mother's brothers. Okay? In other words, that the idea is that when Aaron wants to marry Elisheva, he's thinking not only is she going to be a good bride, a good wife to me, but what are my children going to be like, right? And the pasuk goes on to list the 4 children they had. If you want to know what your children will look like, they're probably going to look like your brother-in-law, okay? Most children, in other words, Aaron and Elisheva's children, will resemble Elisheva's brother, Nachshon. So it's interesting that Nachshon, of course, represents the Melucha, right? Elisheva's family came from Shevet Yehuda, the tribe of kings, and Aaron, of course, is the kahuna, the priesthood, kind of joined together into this marriage. We see other examples of this as well. The Gemara and Masechet Sota, for example, lists that when Aaron's sister Miriam gets married, she marries Kalev, and Kalev also married her because of her brother, because he was impressed with Aaron and Moshe, and that's what attracted him to her as well. And there are other examples of this later with Pinchas and many other examples where the brother seems to have an impact and influence on the shidduch. Very interesting. Of course, you might say it doesn't always work out for the best. Sometimes there can be a negative example. For example, in Bereshit, we have the pasuk of Yitzchak marrying Rivka. Yitzchak ben 40 shana bekachto et Rivka bat Betuel ha'arami. Yitzchak marries Rivka, the daughter of Betuel, Mipadan Aram, and then it mentions once again the brother, Achot Lavan Ha'arami, Loli Ishai. She is the sister of Lavan, the famous duplicitous Lavan, and there the Sephorno makes a similar comment. Umimena nolad Esav Hadome la'achi ha'em. There's an example where it can work for the negative, that Yitzchak marries Rivka. They have, of course, the 2 children, the twins, Yaakov and Esav, and at least one of those children is going to follow in the footsteps of the uncle, of the mother's brother. And sure enough, Esav came from that union of Yitzchak and Rivka and followed in the footsteps of his uncle Lavan. So you see that sometimes it works out for the best, sometimes it doesn't work out for the best, and that's a whole question about how Yitzchak could marry Rivka if he knew that her brother Lavan wasn't so suitable. But I think it's just a very interesting kind of idea here that Rashi is bringing up here, that somehow looking into not only the woman and her family and her parents, but into specifically her brother can reveal a lot. And besides the fact that it can reveal a lot about their relationship and their children, I think it also says something about brothers and sisters, right? If you can kind of look to the woman's brother and get a sense of the type of man that she wants to marry, the type of man that she wants to raise for her son, you get a sense of the special relationship between brothers and sisters as well, of how they respect each other and emulate each other. So it's a lot to think about. Very interesting Rashi. If anyone has any questions or comments, I'll stay on for another minute. But thank you for joining, and have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi
Thank you,
Leibler.
Aaron. You have a good day.
Thank you, and happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank
you.
you.
How do I leave? It's not leaving.
Go, Gary. You can go home.